My name is Tori. This is Novel Life. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have the ultimate summer reads video for you. I'm going to be talking about a bunch of new releases for June, July, and August, all the summer months. There are so many books. I have over 30 to talk about. Now, this is a mix of contemporary, indie books, trad books, fantasy romances, all of that stuff. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and dive right in because like I said, I have over 30 books to talk about. So June has, I feel like, the most books for me to talk about, but the first book that I am very excited about that is coming out in June is Bourbon and Lies by Victoria Wilder. So this is the third book in the Bourbon Boy series. This is a small town kind of suspensey series, and you see the characters from the third book in the previous books, but the brothers own this Kentucky style bourbon distillery, and they all have a role that they play. And the third book, I think, is the main older brother that's in charge of everything. And our female character, you see her in the previous books, she jokes a lot with our hero, and I just cannot wait for this book. I loved this series. I love the covers. That's really what drew me to the series. And I actually am a fan of Victoria Wilder's writing, so I cannot wait for this one. This is definitely one you want to add to your TBR. Coming out next week. Now, I tried to put these in date order, but on June 3rd, Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid comes out. So I am a big Taylor Jenkins Reid fan. I loved Daisy Jones and the Six. I loved Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I had not read her newest one, the tennis one. I have not read that one, but I did read Malibu Rising and I really like that. So this is apparently about a female that goes to space. I could be totally wrong. I could be completely wrong, but I think that's what this book is about. I think it takes place in the 70s or 80s, which I guess is now considered historical fiction, which is kind of crazy because it wasn't that long ago. But I am always ready to read a brand new Taylor Jenkins Reid book because I really like her writing. I think that she writes beautifully and she can tell a story. So we'll see how this new release goes, but now is the time to place your holds at your library for the audiobook and or the ebook, but I'm ready for this one. Now, June 10th has a decent amount of releases. We have Plus Size Player by Danielle Allen. I'm planning to read Curvy Girl Summer this summer because seems like the perfect read for the summer. I love the covers and I cannot wait for this one. I want to read them in order. So I have the audiobook downloaded for the first book from my library and I cannot wait for the second book to come out. I already placed my hold for this one because I want to read them back to back, but I love Danielle Allen's contemporary romance books. I think she is a brilliant writer and I cannot wait to support her for this release. Also on June 10th, we have Caught Up by Nevesta Allen. This is the sequel to the book that took Book Talk by storm, which was Lights Out. Now, I don't know what this book is about specifically and who it's about. I do know the narrators got changed and some people got mad, but that's normal to have different narrators because it's different characters. It doesn't follow the same characters that are from Lights Out. It's a whole separate romance and a whole different couple. I don't know who the hero is, but I think it's one of the people we see in the previous book, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm very excited. I love Nevesta Allen's writing. I really enjoyed Lights Out, and I cannot wait to see what she does with this book. I will be listening to this book. I also placed my hold for this, so we'll see if it comes out on release day, but fingers crossed that it does for me. On the 10th, we also have a brand new release from Karina Halley, which is Realm of Thieves. I think this is a brand new kind of fantasy romance from Karina Halley. Now, Karina Halley writes all different types of things. You've seen her write fantasy romances. I've seen her write gothic romances. I've seen her write horror and dark romance. I've seen her write contemporary romance. So I'm very excited for this because I think she can do a lot of different genres and subgenres of romance really, really well. So I'm excited for this one, and I'm pretty sure this is a trad book if I'm not mistaken, but she usually publishes indie, so I'm very excited for her. Another book we have on June 10th is Backhanded Compliments by Katie Chandler. Now, I received this from Atria. I do plan to read this the first week of June because I love a good sports romance, and this is a tennis sports romance between two bitter tennis rivals. So it is a sapphic romance, but I cannot wait for this. because I just love like that forbiddenness of two rivals where they're forced to come together. That's one of my favorites in sports because it adds like this extra tension between them and they're trying to stay away from each other. So I'm very excited for this one. It is not very long. It's only about 300 pages. So definitely place your holds for this ebook and or audio from Atria. I cannot wait to read this one. Another book that's coming out on June 10th. June 10th is like a big release day. Oh my gosh. Okay. It is Bury Your Own Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. So I haven't read a V.E. Schwab book since, oh my gosh, what was it? The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I do have another book on my shelves by her, but it's a completely different series. But I've heard that you have to read a previous series to read that book. So it's kind of just been sitting on my shelf. But I think this is a complete standalone, if I'm not mistaken. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, when it came out so many years ago, was kind of like a genre-bending book, which I kind of just now consider that more like dark and gothic. And I'm excited because I think that this is giving those same vibes. I love a dark gothic book, so this is one that's on the top of my radar for June. And the last one that's coming out June 10th that I have on my list is Roots of Darkness by Demi Winter. Now, this is a little novella. I actually kind of freaked out when she announced this because I thought it was the third book because I have not read the second book yet, and that just came out in February of this year, I think. So this is a 2.5 novella, so it is supposed to be read after book 2. So I think it's only 160-ish pages, but I love Demi Winter. I cannot wait to get caught up on the series, but that novella, if you're caught up on the series, comes out on the 10th. Now, another big release day in June is the 17th. So the first one is Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston. So I'm a big Ashley Poston fan. I think I've read all of her newer contemporary releases that she's had, and I love this cover. I think it is so pretty, perfect for summer. Now, covers that are vibrant and beautiful like this have deceived me in the past, aka Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez, because that is a very angsty romance, but I am ready for this one. I love it. I've already had my hold placed at my library for a couple months now, so I cannot wait for that one. Also on the 17th, we have Gloves Off by Stephanie Archer. Stephanie Archer is a sports romance author. This is a hockey romance, as you can tell from the illustrated cover. I don't know anything. I think this is all in her Vancouver series, Vancouver something series, but I think they can all be read as a standalone, and I think the audiobook is also coming out on the same day. So if you are interested in another sports hockey romance, this one by Stephanie Archer is coming on the 17th. Also, the Twisted Twins, Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti, is coming out with Echo Fort, which is the second book in this new series from them. Now, I have not read the first book because I've heard okay-ish things, but I am extremely interested, and I want to see people's reactions for the second book because the first book is very, very long, but I want to see how people feel with the second book, where the story's going, if it gets better, if it gets worse. I like to know before going in with certain authors that I haven't read a lot before. I've only read the Zodiac Academy series from them. The first 7 books, I DNF that series because it was way too long. I have heard that this series is better starting off than Zodiac Academy, and I did enjoy it as like a bingeable series. So this might be a series that I catch up over the summer with, where I read books 1 and 2. Let me know if you guys would want me to read them and give you my thoughts, because I would be more than happy to do that. The next book I have is coming out on June 19th. It is A Royal Mile by Samantha Young. So this one is book 2 in this kind of like an On Dublin Street spinoff series. I did read On Lover's Lane earlier this year, and I did really like it. I love the mental health rep in that book. I don't know anything about this book. I'm kind of going to go into it blind, kind of like I did the previous book, but I was surprised by the mental health rep and how well it was done, so we'll see what Samantha Young does with this book. Now, I only have 1 or 2 more books for June. The next one is Anti-Hero by C.W. Farnsworth. This is a billionaire series. I think it's the billionaire series. I read the first book in this series earlier this year, and I love it. I love C.W. Farnsworth billionaire romances. Billionaire romances is kind of like a comfort subgenre of romance for me. I love them. And the previous book was so good. I gave it 5 stars, and I cannot wait to see what she does with this. I also go into her books blind, but I do know it is a billionaire romance series, so obviously there's going to be a billionaire in there, and I'm very excited for that one. And the last one I have for June is on June 26th, and it is The Sun and Her Burn by Gianna Darling. I love Gianna Darling. She has this trilogy coming out over, I think, the year. I don't know if she's announced when book 3 is coming out, but I do know it's a trilogy. Book 1 ended on a cliffhanger. I really liked it. This is kind of a MMF series where in the first book, it was Sebastian Lombardi, who we see in a previous series by Gianna. He joins in on a married couple, and you see kind of like all the things that happen throughout the book, and it definitely is on a cliffhanger. So book 2 is supposedly, I think, going to pick up right after, or I don't know if it's a time jump, but I'm ready for it. That cliffhanger was brutal in book 1, but those are all the books that are coming out in June that I have on my radar. If I missed any, please let me know in the comments down below, because I'm pretty sure I did. This is just the list that I compiled after looking about all the publisher websites and all of that stuff. So moving on to July. Now, July 1st pops off with Save Me by Mona Caston. This is the original series on Prime Video. It's the Maxton Hall series. I know it was in a different language, like the books were published in a different language, but now they've been translated and Berkley is publishing them. So I watched a couple episodes of Maxton Hall, but I like to watch while I work, but that has subtitles. So I can't really watch while I work because I have to obviously read the subtitles. So I cannot wait to read this. Like I said, it comes out June 1st. I was able to pick up this at Polycon. Berkley was there. Was giving out. It's always fun if you've watched the series to go back and read the books, so I highly suggest picking this one up on the 1st of July when it comes out, because it's really cool that they're translating these books. Now, July has a lot of releases on the 8th. I'm not gonna lie. The first one is Sounds Like Trouble it's this duo. It's Pamela Samuels Young and Dwayne Alexander Smith. I have this early copy from Atria. It is, I think, like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith retelling. That's what it's giving, because it's 2 private investigators in Los Angeles. And this is totally random, but Mr. and Mrs. Smith was one of my favorite movies when I was like a teenager. I loved the tension. I loved them in that movie. And when I saw this cover, I didn't even have to look at the blurb to realize that it was a Mr. and Mrs. Smith thing. So I am going to read this sometime in June. I always read my arcs closer to the release date so I can scream about them, and you guys can place your holds and it'll be available for you guys. I'm very, very excited for this. It's only 230 pages, so it's not very long, but I cannot wait to read this. This is one that I'm very, very excited for. Another release on the 8th is The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy by Bridget Knightley. Now, this is a fanfic that's now been republished, so all the Harry Potter lore has been taken out because they wrote them on like a fanfic website, AO3, any of those. And I guess this is about like, it's obviously enemies to lovers, but it's about a society of assassins. Okay, he finds himself sick with a degenerative disease and he needs an expertise of a very specific healer, and I guess he is seeking out this one specific healer for her to cure his illness. Okay, I really like that. But this one is going around and I really love this cover, so I'm obviously going to read this closer to the release date, but I cannot wait. Cannot wait for this one and see if I love it, because I've also never read anything by this author. So yeah, if you're also interested in seeing a vlog about this one, let me know. Another book that comes out that is very, very, very highly anticipated for a lot of people, me included, Rose in Chains by Julie Soto. I don't know how, but I was approved for an e-arc of this book through NetGalley. I was sitting, like it was just sitting there. My approval was just sitting there for literally months now. And it came in like 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm very shocked because I didn't think I was going to get it. And I was totally fine with that because I was going to pick it up on release day. But I'm like holding on to this one because I know, just like, I have a feeling I'm gonna really, really love it. And I always tend to like hold on to books and not read them, but I definitely want to read this before release day. But this is another fanfic that has been republished, so all the Harry Potter lore has been taken out and Julie Soto completely republished it, but it is The Auction. She published it as The Auction, which was on AO3. So if you've read that Harry Potter fanfic, or I think it's a Hermione fanfic, if you've read that Hermione fanfic, then it is a similar story, but I think she's changed some things. So we'll see where that one goes. Another new release on the 8th is A Vow Embers by Soraya Wilson. So I recently just read the first book in the series and I really enjoyed it. It was a good start to a fantasy romance series, but it does end on a major, major cliffhanger. And the second book is where I feel like the enemies to lovers romance is really going to kick in, and I'm ready for it. And I will be very, very excited when this comes out. Now, I think it's going to be available to read and listen on KU. Sometimes on KU, the audiobook will be included. The last one for the 8th is Terror at the Gate by Scarlett St. Clair. I really enjoy Scarlett St. Clair's Hades and Persephone series, and this is a new book in this series. I think it's more dark and gothic, but I'm ready for it. I'm very, very excited. I don't know anything else besides that, and we're just going to go into a blind because that's what I usually do with her books. Now, on the 15th, we have Of Flame and Fury by Michaela Bridge. Now, this is a new to me author. I was scrolling on Goodreads and I saw this. I don't know anything about this book. I do like to go into fantasy romances really blind for me personally, so I haven't looked up the blurb, but I'll have the link in the description box below if you want to go check out the book. But that is one that the cover immediately caught my eye, and I said, yes, please, I'll put it on my list. Now, on the 16th, we have Eclipsed Empire by Tessa Hale. I did read Crescent Kingdom in Is it April? Yes, April, because that's when it came out, and I really, really enjoyed it. Of course, all of Tessa Hale's books end on a cliffhanger because they're like a trilogy. So this is book 2 in the trilogy that's coming out in July, and I can't wait to see what Ren is up to with the Wolf Guys. So on the 22nd, we have 3 books that are coming out. The first one is A Love is a War Song by Danica Nova. So I do know that the first book came out, I think during the summer last year, and I didn't read that, but this cover is what really drew me in. I don't know, the colors really just drew me in. So I placed my hold for the audiobook already. So we'll see. Fingers crossed it comes in on release day so I can read it, but I'm very excited for this one. We also have Chasing Shelter by Catherine Cowles. This is the 5th book in the Sparrow Falls series, and I'm very excited for it because I want to see what Ellie and Trace's story is all about. And then the last one that I'm actually really excited for is another fantasy romance is Arcane Academy by Elise Kova. I've read some of Elise Kova's Married to Magic series. Those are all like interconnected standalones, but this is a first in a series. I don't know if it's an interconnected standalone series like her Married to Magic, or if it is a like series that ends on each book ends on a cliffhanger, but I really love the cover and I'm very, very excited for it. I think it has something to do with like tarot cards and magic, which I'm always here for. So I'm very excited for this one. On the 29th, we have Wrath of the Dragons by Olivia Rose Darling. If you guys know, Fear the Flames is one of my favorites. So the sequel to Fear the Flames, which is Wrath of the Dragon, is coming out and I am so excited. I do have an e-arc on my Kindle, and I will be reading it in June or July, but I'm very excited for this one. And the last one for July is Thorns and Fire by Helen Schwar. So this is the sequel. I think it's a duology, and this is the second book in the duology. The first book was Iron and Embers that came out earlier this year. This is kind of a spinoff of the, oh my gosh, what is the series called? Legends of Thesmar series. I was like blanking on the name. Yes, I read the Legends of Thesmar and I read Iron and Embers and I enjoyed it. Not as much as I enjoyed The Legend of Thesmar, but I do plan to maybe pick up the second book because I do like the characters. I'm hoping I like book 2 better, but that is the last one for July. In August, I only have a handful of books because it was harder to find like books that were coming out in August. It was a lot of books that had like a mix of like from September too. So on the 5th of August, The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk by Carissa Broadbent is coming out. This is the sequel to her new release, oh my gosh, I can't think of the name, but in the Crowns of Nyaxia series, she has different duologies. So this is the second book in the second duology in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. And I'm still hesitant on if I'm going to pick this up because I did not like the first book, but I'm like, okay, I do like these characters. I do remember their story. So maybe I'll pick up the second book in the series, well, second book in the duology to complete it. And I don't know if she's announced the third one, if she's going to have a third duology and if that, what it might be, but I do love her writing. Just that book really let me down. Also on the 5th, we have Well Actually by Maisie Eddings. I really like this cover and so it drew me in. I think this is a contemporary romance. And I don't know, I've never read anything by Maisie Eddings, but the cover drew me in and I wanted to share it with you guys. On August 12th, we have Warrior Princess by Bridget Kemmerer. This is the first in a new series by her. I don't remember if it's YA or adult. I've heard so many good things so far of arcs that have gone out about this book, so I'm very excited to get to this. If you are excited, please let me know. If you've read her in the past, please let me know too in the comments down below. On August 19th, we have Love Arranged by Lauren Asher. This is the third book in the, oh my gosh, what is this series? I can't think of the series, but it's the Lakeside series. Is it Lakeside Billionaire? Is that what it is? Lakeview Billionaire? Why am I blanking on the series name? Anyway, this is the third book in that series. I love the cover. It's blue. I love all of the covers for this series. I have not read the second book because her books keep getting longer and longer and longer. And I'm like, does it really need to be that long? But yes, the third book does come out in August. The last 2 books I have to talk about are both coming out on August 26th. So we have Katabasis by R.F. Kuang. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that right. I could also be pronouncing it wrong. I do want to read the Poppy War trilogy. I think it's a trilogy, but that series over the summer because I've heard really, really good things about it. So because I've never read anything by R.F. Kuang and everyone is talking about how amazing their books are, and I'm like, but where do I start? A lot of people said Poppy War. So I'm going to start with the Poppy War series, but Katabasis is coming out on the 26th. And the last one is The Gilded Heiress by Joanna Shoup. If you don't know this, I have a huge historic romance collection, but I have not read a historical romance in quite a while, but I love Joanna Shoup. She is actually one of my all-time favorite historical romance authors, so I really love this cover and I really want to support her in this release because a lot of historical romances are not getting picked up again, so I definitely want to support her in this release so that she can continue to release them because I love her to pieces. That is all I have for these summer releases. You can let me know definitely if I missed any for June, July, and August in the comments down below. If you've made it this far and you want to let me know, leave me a sunshine emoji because it is hot outside where I live. The sun has been shining all day, every day. And yeah, summer is very, very, very close to being here and being in full swing. So leave me a little sunshine emoji in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content for me. As always, I hope you're living a novel life, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.